Hello everyone and welcome back to Beatly Tones Beatles channel. Lovely to have you here. Thanks for joining me for this video and I hope you're all doing well. Now I'm doing something different in today's video, something that I'm hoping that lots of people can join in with. I've tried to make it as inclusive as possible. Now you'll probably all know recently at the start of the year there was a tag video going around, the Beatles Tag 2024. This was a video that was started by Rachel over at Rachel's Ghost channel, and I was talking to her recently and she was saying that she hopes that for next year, the Beatles Tag 2025, someone from the Beatles community, one of the Beatles channels, will take this on. And I said, well, I don't mind having a go at it. So I'm kind of treating this video here as a kind of a practice. So today's video is the Solo Beatles Tag 2024. So I've got kind of 9 questions. Some of them are sort of multi-parters, but I'm hoping lots of people will join in. Certainly if you've got a YouTube channel, Beatles YouTube channel, I'd love you to get involved and do your own video answering the questions. If you don't have a channel, but you fancy making a video, you can do that, because if you've got a YouTube account, you have effectively got a channel, and you can post a video on it, even if it's the only video that you ever post. If you want to join in and you feel like doing a video, you can do that. Now, and just let me know that in the comments that you've done it, and I'll go over to your channel and we'll watch it. If you're a little bit shy and don't really want to make a video, and I totally get that, you can still play along. The questions are written down in the description of this video, and you can just answer the questions in the comments if you want. I think it will work for most of the questions that I've got in this tag. Now, the Solo Beatles, it's a little bit tricky. I totally get that it's a little bit tricky. I think that people that Beatles fans kind of fall into 3 categories where the Solo Beatles are concerned. Firstly, you're a big Beatles fan. This is the first category. You're a big Beatles fan and you love the Solo Beatles. You've got to have everything. Not only have you got to have everything, you don't even draw the line at the Solo Beatles. You've got to have all the albums by the children of the Beatles, or maybe even the wives of the Beatles. That is category 1. Category 2, I think that you're a big Beatles fan, but you're more selective about where you go with the Solo Beatles. You might pick up Band on the Run or Flaming Pie or All Things Must Pass, but you're not going anywhere near George plinking and plonking around on a Moog synthesizer on electronic sound. And then there's the third category where you are a massive Beatles fan, but you're not interested in the Solo Beatles. If you're one of those people, then this video probably isn't for you. So I hope if you've got a Beatles channel, you'll get involved. Even if you don't have a Beatles channel, but you have a YouTube channel, maybe you're part of the VC, but you've got some Solo Beatles albums, you can join in. I hope everyone will join in. So that is it. But the thing is that the Solo Beatles are a bit of a minefield. They're tricky, and you've got to sort the wheat from the chaff, and it's not always that easy. And to do that, there's a lot of trial and error involved, and you will go wrong. You will go wrong at some point. But that is the whole point about discovering music and stuff like that. You kind of listen to stuff, and some stuff you like, some stuff you don't. And there have been misdemeanors along the way by all 4 of the Solo Beatles. People take a lot of seem to enjoy slagging off the work of Paul McCartney rather than treating him as some sort of national treasure, the greatest songwriter that the UK has ever produced. And of course there have been misdemeanors along the way. There have been moments, bad moments, very bad moments, songs about lambs, songs about frogs, counting songs, 1 2 3 4 5, let's go for a ride, rhyming keyboard with oh Lord on Ebony and Ivory and all that sort of thing. But these are just a handful of misdemeanors in a career that has lasted half a century. And when you've got albums and songs in your canon like Paul McCartney has got, you've kind of earned the right to do what you bloody well like, even if that includes writing songs about lambs and frogs and rhyming keyboard with Oh Lord. So that is what we're going to do. So I've got 9 questions. Hope you're all joining. Let's get on with it. Okay, question number 1. By the way, I must apologise for this mess over here. It looks like Keith Moon has been having a go on Ringo's drum kit. I'm having a bit of a reorganisation back there, which I'm in the middle of at the moment. So I apologise for that mess. Okay, question number 1. Nice and easy. What was the first Beatles solo album that you ever owned? If there's a story, tell the story. Mine was this one, Shaved Fish by John Lennon, a compilation. I got this in 1976. I bought it off a kid from school, I think for about 50p. And when I got it, there's a little jump on instant karma, which I lived with for years and years and years. In fact, until 1987, when I started migrating to CDs, and actually Shaved Fish was the very first CD that I ever bought. And when I got it and played it, it felt really weird to hear Instant Karma without this jump that I'd been used to for years. It felt a little bit uncomfortable. This is the actual copy. It's battered and bruised now, sellotape along the top, and it's sort of coming apart at the seams. I need to stick it with some glue. So that was the first Beatles album, first solo album that I ever owned. Okay, question number 2, conversely, is what is the latest Beatles solo album that you bought? And for me, it's this one, which will be out of date sometime this week when the Band on the Run 50th anniversary arrives. And this is the McCartney 3x3. This is McCartney 3 on coloured vinyl. In fact, it's so gorgeous, I'm going to show it because it might be the last chance. It might be the last chance to show it. And I got that one, the sort of pizza type one, and yeah, very nice it is too. So that is the latest Beatles solo album that I bought. Nice and easy so far. That's what I want it to be. I want it to be nice and easy, so it's nice and inclusive for everyone. Okay, question number 3 is show your favourite solo album by each of the Beatles. Now, obviously, if you don't have, a lot of people don't buy Ringo solo albums or maybe even George solo albums. You show what you own. So if you don't own a Ringo album, so you can't complete the question, just show your favourite John album or your favourite Paul album, whatever it is that you've got in your collection. Obviously, favourite album doesn't necessarily mean the album that you think is the best, critically. That choice is up to you, but it could be the same thing. So for me, for John, it is Plastic Ono Band. Just a fantastic album, difficult to listen to album, but every song on this album counts and every song matters. Just always love this album. Just brilliant from start to finish. Plastic Ono Band from John. For Paul, I've gone for Venus and Mars. I had Wings Over America before I owned Venus and Mars, so I'd heard most of the tracks that are on Venus and Mars on Wings Over America in live form. There's only 3 tracks on this album that weren't played on Wings Over America, and one of those was the Crossroads theme. But I just love how so many different genres are covered on this album. Brilliantly played, brilliantly sung. Just love this album. So that is my top pick from Paul. For George, an obvious pick, All Things Must Pass. It has to be the 50th anniversary version. Now, I love Paul Hicks's remix of this album. Gets rid of all that sort of muddiness that is on the Spectre version from 1970. And so nice to have George sort of up front on vocals, to the fore. I've heard some sort of commentators sort of devalue this album by including the Apple Jam as part of this album, so bringing down the quality of the album. But the Apple Jam is not part of All Things Must Pass. All Things Must Pass is essentially a double album with a bonus album of jams and should be judged like that. So judged on sides 1 to 4. An album that George never ever surpassed, but fantastic album again from start to finish. Not a bad track on it for me. And for Ringo, again, an obvious choice is the Ringo album from 1973. Never really, reached for these heights again in his career. Got a lot of help from a lot of his famous friends, including John, Paul and George, and numerous others as well. Again, a really, really good album. So that is my pick for Ringo. Okay, so question number 4, you've probably already guessed, is going to be, what is your least favourite solo album by each of the Beatles? And you're probably thinking, well, that's easy, I'm just going to pick Two Virgins or Life with the Lions. Well, unless you're one of those people that enjoys listening to the dying heartbeat of John and Yoko's Miscarried Baby, followed by 2 minutes of silence, followed by John Lennon playing for God knows how long with a radio dial. But chances are that you're probably not. So I should have said this for the favourites as well. No experimental albums, no live albums, no compilation albums, just the studio albums, just the pop albums, no classical albums. Just you can't really compare pop music with avant-garde experimental music, so just the normal albums. Okay, so for John, and I'm loath to pick it, Sometime in New York City is probably my least favourite of his albums. Normally, it would have been a toss-up between this and Rock and Roll, and normally I would have picked Rock and Roll because I prefer songs that have been written by John Lennon to those that haven't, but I think Rock and Roll just flows better as an album. I say this is a very difficult listen, very political, very controversial, but nevertheless it's still a really important album, I think, for that period in John's life. And I'm still really disappointed that we didn't get an ultimate mixes of this album, because I think it would have been fascinating. Lots of stuff could have been included because he did a lot of promotional work for this album, but it's probably his weakest selection of songs. So Sometime in New York City, I'm going to nominate as my least favourite John Lennon studio album. For Paul, I've gone for Kisses on the Bottom. And, if I'm absolutely honest about this album is superbly played, and it's probably this sort of genre, the American songbook, probably suits Paul's old man's voice better than any album that he's done since. But you do really have to be in the mood for it, and this kind of music is not really my thing, and that's why I've nominated as my least favourite. So from Paul, Kisses on the Bottom. From George, Extra Texture. Lord knows I've tried to love this album and I can't find a way to love it. It's just such a down album, very, very dreary. George's vocals sound really tired and fed up, and there's just not a lot of fun going on this album. There are a couple of good tracks. This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying and Tired of Midnight Blue. But even, the single You is very, it's an old song for a start. It's very repetitive. It doesn't really go anywhere. And, I've never, ever been able to find a way to love Extra Texture. So that is my least favourite George Harrison album. And my least favourite Ringo album is Sentimental Journey, and probably for the same reason as Kisses on the Bottom is my least favourite Paul album. It's just not my sort of music, not the sort of music that I like. So Sentimental Journey from Ringo is my least favourite Ringo album. What's yours? So question number 5 is show your favourite Beatles solo book. Now, for years and years and years, we were so poorly served with really good books about the careers of the solo Beatles. And it just seems recently we've suddenly got an embarrassment of riches. But before, it used to be, you used to get a book that was, that covered the Beatles and their solo careers, and it'd be like 400 odd pages long, and for that much of the book would be going up to 1970, and then you'd have like a tiny bit at the end which was to cover like 30 years of 4 solo careers. It was just really, really poor. But more recently, we've had a kind of embarrassment of riches, and I'm not going to do a top 3 because I'm planning on doing a book at a video at sometime with my top 10 Beatles books. So I'm just going to pick my absolute favourite, and it is this one, The McCartney Legacy. Absolutely superb book by Alan Cosin and Adrian Sinclair. This only covers 1969 to 1973. Can't wait for volume 2. So much detail in this book, but invaluable detail. Really, really good book. Thoroughly recommend this to anyone who hasn't read it. So my pick of the greatest book about a solo Beatle is The McCartney Legacy. So question number 6 is show a solo Beatles artifact, something that's not an album or a book or something like that. So it could be a t-shirt or a concert ticket stub or some sort of piece of memorabilia. I was going to show this, which is my signed copy of Electric Arguments that I got when I met Paul in 2008 in London. If you haven't seen the video that I made about how I got that, you can, I'll put an end card at the end of this video. It's a 2-part video because I met Paul 3 times, and so if you want to watch and find out the story of how I got that, you can click on that at the end of this video. But what I am going to show is this drumstick. Well, what is this, you may be asking? Well, in 1979, when Paul did his UK tour, it was the first time that I'd seen Paul, and we went to 4 shows on that UK tour. Now, the first show that we went to, when he closed the set with Good Night Tonight, and when he did that, everyone kind of rushed to the front. It was an all-seated venue, Wembley Arena, and everyone sort of rushed to the front, and we were sort of about, about 20 rows back or something like that, and we just stood there and watched everyone rush to the front. So when we saw him the next night, we knew what was coming. So when he was just about to announce Good Night Tonight, we'd already sort of made our way towards the front. Now, during or after, probably after they played Good Night Tonight and, going off, for the break between the last song and the encore, Steve Holley, the drummer, he threw a drumstick into the crowd, and my mate sort of wrestled another fan for it and got it for me. And you can kind of see like the little chips from where he's hit the hi-hat, and it's quite humbling to hold this thing that has kept Paul McCartney out of the Beatles in time. So that is my sort of, treasured item, solo Beatles artifact, Steve Holley's drumstick that he threw into the crowd that I've now got in my possession. So that is question number 6, I think that was. Okay, question number 7 is show your favourite solo Beatles box set. And again, we've kind of had an embarrassment of riches there as well from Paul. We've had all the archive collection deluxe box sets from John. We've had the ultimate mixes, which have both been superb. Really looking forward to getting Mind Games later this year. From George, there was the 8 LP All Things Must Pass On. You might even have the Uber box. I don't. But my pick for best solo Beatles box set is this one, the Paul McCartney singles crate. 80 singles in picture sleeves from all over the world to celebrate his 80th birthday. That is my number 2693 of 3,000. There were only 3,000 made, and when it was announced, there was a few eyebrows raised. I think this was £600 to buy when it was announced. But God, if you look on eBay now, what people are asking for this now, it's 2 to 3 times that amount now. But it is absolutely superb. It was a stretch at the time, but it looks and it feels like a premium item, and you know, in this wooden crate. That's what it looks like inside, and I've added a couple of other of my singles to this as well. I'm not going to get them all out, obviously, but I might show you a couple. This tug of war, and you know, what else have we got here? Silly Love Songs came with a test pressing as well, and Silly Love Songs was my test pressing. If you want to if you want to see me unbox this on the day that I got it, where I do show all 80 singles and you know, the vinyl and the book that it comes with and the test pressing and all that sort of thing, there is a video on my channel. In fact, I'll put an end card at the end of this video if you want to watch it. But that is my pick for my favourite Solo Beatles box set. Okay, question number 8. Please show your favourite Solo Beatles live album. Again, there are an embarrassment of riches. I think Paul has had probably 7 or 8 live albums, and Ringo has had numerous live albums as well. From John, we've got, you know, live piece in Toronto and live in New York City, and George, we've had live in Japan. So, you know, quite a few to choose from. I can't really see any further than Wings Over America as my favourite live album from a Solo Beatle, a triple album. Absolutely fantastic. Wings at their absolute peak. Just a brilliant album, you know, covering the period sort of up to 1976. So a good, you know, early live album. Absolutely love this. I don't think it's ever been beaten. And you know, at this time, Paul was not doing wholesale Beatles songs at that time. I think there are 5 on this album, and all the rest are, you know, Wings and solo songs. So my pick is Wings Over America. Okay, final question, number 9. Show 3 non-album singles. That can be 7 inches or 12 inches, but not album versions. And so I've got 3 here. I thought I'd show this one. This is Back Off Boogaloo, mostly showing this one because it's on a blue apple, and I think it's the only single that appears on a blue apple. So that's my first one, Back Off Boogaloo by Ringo. The next one is Give Peace a Chance by John. I haven't got it in a picture sleeve, but that is the single. And the final one, I'm going to show a 12-inch. This is Pretty Little Head from 1986. Now, obviously, Pretty Little Head was on the album. This is a totally different version, a much more accessible version. Really, I've always really loved the track Pretty Little Head. I love it on the album. I love it more on this 12-inch single. Really great version. It's 6 minutes 58 seconds. Really great version, Pretty Little Head from the Press to Play album, but a totally different version, different mix. Okay, so those are my 3 singles. Okay, so that is pretty much it for the Solo Beatles Tag 2024. So a couple of things I should tell you about. Listen, if you can't do all the parts of all the, you know, all the prompts, just do the ones that you can. You know, it's absolutely fine. No one's going to make you sit on the naughty step if you don't complete everything. So just do what you can. Now, if you have got a channel and you have made a video, please either tag Beatly Tones Beatles channel in the title of your video, or come onto this thread and put something down in the comments to say that you've made a video, so I know that you've made a video and I can go and watch it. Also, if you could put a link to this video in the description, so your viewers, if they don't know me, you know, and they decide to do a video, they can come onto this thread and just put a message down in the comments to say that they've made a video, and then I can go and watch theirs as well. And if you're you know, a subscriber of this channel, you don't normally make videos, but you've decided that you're going to make a video for this same thing, just let me know down in the comments. It'd be fantastic to put a face to the names that I see writing comments on all the videos. That'd be great. And so that's it. That's pretty much it. That's all you need to do. Hope lots of people get involved. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Do play along. I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye.